Okay, so we're continuing on with our series based in nature. We had earth for a little while, some water, some mud, and now we're up to fire. And this week I thought we'd talk about passion as a fiery kind of feeling. One of the things that passion does is it takes us from the mundane, just ordinary kind of life into sublime experience. Um, when my daughter was little, when she was really small, it was a challenging time because it was just like the mundane things of like making the dinner over and over, kind of like pandemic living, but just doing the things over and over and not having a lot of change the routine. And I did yoga, and that was really helpful to me. That kept me sort of awake and alive and vibrant in my body. But the other thing that came up for me when she was really small was sewing. I just got kind of consumed with like, I just want to sew all the time. I would have ideas all the time. I'd have all this energy for it, patterns, colors, just whatever was coming. And I actually eventually had to cut myself off from going to the fabric store because I was like, I'm just so into it. But what it did is it like gave me a lot of joy during that time. It gave me a lot of creative outlet. And I would definitely say I had kind of a passion for it in that time. It's not something that stayed with me. I still sew a little bit, but it was something that really helped me come alive during that kind of insular, quiet time. So if we think about passion, it's like that strong feeling, that strong emotion, or the object of our love and devotion and desire, or a really strong liking for something, like a passion for music or a passion for cooking. We all know what it feels like, and we have experienced it at some point in our lives. And I bring it in this week as we turn to fire because it has that same kind of quality. Fire is fast. Fire ignites. Fire goes up, has a sense of uplifting us where we've been sort of lower and moving downwards. Now we get to go up and energetic. And it transforms our state. It transforms the state of matter. Passion can do the same for us, transform our state. And then fire catches hold and can spread really quickly. So when we have a passion for something, it's that same sense of like, whoa, it's quick. It catches us and shifts and changing, engulfs us. And I think that passion also transforms us. Oh, I already said that, but that sense like fire is transformative, so is passion. If our passions are coming from a deep place in the heart, part of what it does is ask us to be who we have to be to meet that passion. So when it comes to yoga, you can come to the mat feeling kind of sleepy or dull or bored from your life, whatever it is. And if you practice with a bit of fire, a bit of passion, it helps to awaken you. And that is on many levels. It can wake up your body if your body's feeling sluggish. It can wake up your mind if your mind's feeling unclear, cloudy, your heart, your breath, your spirit. So there's a kind of like, whoosh, come up, wake up, enlivening energy. But also it makes the practice more than exercise when there's a kind of passion involved with it. Because it can take you into the starting place or the source for passion. It can take you into your heart. And when we get into there, we merge. There's a possibility for a merging, a connection, a union with those energies that are always there, the peace, the bliss, the love, the joy that are always in the center of the heart. And so the passion, the passion for practice is really the passion for that freedom, that connection, that peace that's always there. So we'll bring a little fire into the practice, bring a little passion maybe as we go into our poses this evening. Start with a good seat as always. You want to sit up well. Let your hands rest on your thighs and then do close your eyes to turn inwards. Breathe in and down, all the way down to the earth. Lengthen through your spine. Feel the ripple of the spine and the movement, the ease of the breath. And then notice any sense of dullness or sleepiness in the different layers of you, your body, your breath, your mind, your heart. And fire energy or passionate energy comes in to light a spark and wake those places up that have gone to sleep so that we can be more enlivened and alive while we're living. So now join your palms in front of your heart and connect with your intention. Intention is a way to connect with the spark of passion. And now let's chant Om together 3 times. So welcome your in-breath. Om. 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 Gently bow head to the power and the fire of the heart. And release your hands down on your thighs. Lift your head back up. You can open your eyes. And let's go to hands and knees to begin today. Place your hands well and bring your wrist crease parallel to the top of the mat. Spread out your fingers. Bring your knees into good steady connection with the floor. And we'll just start with moving with the fluid pace of cat and cow. So inhale the thighs back, reach your heart forward, lift up, look up, and then scoop your tail down and around through your spine. Inhale, the thighs go back, pelvis shifts, lift your heart, lift your gaze. Exhale, scoop your tail. Think of the tailbone like striking a match, moving down. Inhale, lift up. Heart opens, breathe deeply. And exhale, scoop and round. Look into your heart, connect with the passions that may be there this day. Now come back to the neutral spine right in the middle. Take your left leg straight back behind you, curl your toes under, and then just push back for a moment so you push into your calf muscle. Keeping that, now come forward onto your hands again and lift your left leg up. Just parallel with your buttocks is fine. It doesn't need to go any higher, but make the left leg really firm and steady. And then take your right arm forward with your right palm turned towards the middle. If it's too much to have your arm, just put your hand back down. Lower your right hand, bring your left knee back down, and switch sides. Take your right leg straight back, curl your toes under, and then push back a little bit more. So you're getting into the calf muscle, trying to get in the calf a little bit today. And then shift forward onto your hands, lift your right leg up. Right leg doesn't need to go any higher than your buttocks. Yep, and if you'd like, add your left arm, and if that's too much, then don't add it. Just keep it on the floor, left hand on the floor. So we're finding the fiery core in the center of the belly. Lower your left hand back down, bring your right knee back down, and then walk your knees back just a couple of inches behind your hips and go up and back into downward facing dog. Now, you can keep your knees bent if you need to in this first down dog or not, with kind of a passion, an inner passion, pull in and connect into your core. And then bend your right knee and really reach your left heel for the mat. So again, going into the back of the the back of the left leg, going into the calf. And then bend your left knee and reach your right heel for the mat. Again, aim for stretching the calf muscle. Calf muscles don't get as much attention in usual yoga class, so sometimes we got to just pause and come to them. Bend your right knee, go left knee down again, left heel down again. Breathe. Bend your left knee, take your right heel down. It may or may not touch the mat, that's all right, but we want the energy of it moving back and down so that your
Calf muscle gets stretched. Now bend both knees for a moment, send your hips way back, and then draw your tail in a little and stretch your legs straight. Slowly walk your feet up to meet your hands. You can bend your knees as much as you need to and let your hands come up to fingertips or even up onto the blocks at the top of the mat. And bow over in standing forward bend. Make the power of the earth rise up through your legs, so squeeze the leg muscles steady. Tops of the thighs go wide. But then slide your buttocks flush, engage your buttocks flush, and push it down towards the floor. And that's where we're going to find the fiery quality today, with the buttocks flush sliding down, the tailbone scooping in. Push down through your legs, take your arms wide if you have the space, and inhale, come all the way up to standing. Join your palms together in front of your heart with your exhale. Don't have to do much to warm up today, given how warm it is outside. Now bring your hands to your hips. And again, we're going to play with the tops of the thighs going back. But then today, think of your tailbone. So right at the very base of your spine, I'm doing my finger like the tailbone. Think of the tailbone going down and slightly forward. So it scoops down and slightly forward. When that happens, you'll feel your belly tone, and those two are what we're working with today. The tailbone going down and slightly forward, the belly toning, so there's this kind of fiery connection right in the core. We'll play with it as we go through. Standing in Tadasana, bring your arms by your sides, and then draw your tail down and your low belly up. Yep, good. Take your arms wide, lift up, look up. And exhale, fold forward, bend your knees if you need to or not. If the knees are bent, make sure they're not knocking together. Even if they're not bent, make sure they're not knocking together. Inhale, stretch your heart forward. Step your left leg back, come into a lunge. Take a deep breath in to open up, and then engage from the earth up, so we still keep earth energy. Now the water energy we had last time, the back thigh lifts. So keep your left thigh lifted. Now play with scoop your tail down. You'll engage your right buttocks. So instead of the butt flying high, scoop the tail down, engage your right buttocks. Lift your low belly. So there's a little bit of heat there. Now slowly lower your left knee to just a hover above the mat. And then stretch it back up. Keep the right sitting bone down. And again, a little hover just above the mat. And then stretch it back up. Little hover just above the mat. And now lower your back knee all the way down. Good. Step your right knee back to beside your left and come down to forearm plank. This is a great one for building a fire in the body. So the tailbone, instead of the bun staying up, scoop the tailbone under and lift up in your low belly. Now you can add a little challenge if you're feeling it tonight, which is drop your right hip a little bit, but don't change your shoulders. Come back to the center. Drop your left hip a little bit, but don't change your shoulders. Come back to the center. Good. Lower both knees and bring your belly down, your chest down. Come all the way down. Bring your hands back behind your back. With passion, open the heart and inhale, lift your heart up in Shalabhasana. Toes go down, heart rises. Exhale, lower, bring your hands under your shoulders, curl your toes under and come up to table pose. Instead of going to down dog, go to table. And we're just gonna do what we already did, but a little bit faster. So take your left leg and your right arm out. So they go out in this pointer position, and then right back down, and then left arm, right leg, and back down. Go right arm, left leg, and down. Left arm, right leg, and down. We'll do one more time. Right arm, left leg, and down. And left arm, right leg, and down. We're trying not to move the torso too much. Walk your knees back a little bit. Go back, downward facing dog. Now, remember last week we were spinning the thighs back, sending the buttocks up, Bend your knees, roll the inner thighs back and send your buttocks up. But now hook your tail in. Lift your low belly. So it's a lot of pieces and parts, but there's that little bit of fiery power. Look forward between your hands and step your left foot forward all the way into lunge. Take a deep breath. Let your skin soften. And then find the power of your legs. Lift the back thigh up, but scoop your left buttock down. The left buttock really engages and pushes into the floor. Lower your right knee a little bit up just to a hover above the mat, and then stretch it back up. Again, a little hover above the mat, stretch it back up. One more time, little hover above the mat. This time we'll lift back up and step forward, standing forward bend, Uttanasana. Press the thighs wide. Draw your tail down, so scoop the buttocks flush down towards the floor. And then take your hands to your hips, stretch your heart forward. Inhale, slowly come up. And exhale, release your arms by your sides. Tail scoops down, low belly up, like a little scoop of strike of a match with the tailbone. That's the idea. Let's try again. Inhale, lift out and up. Exhale and fold. With a passionate heart, stretch forward, and then step your right leg back into a lunge. This time you can put your back knee on the floor if you'd like, or bring your hands up to your front thigh for more challenge. Squeeze the legs, lift your right thigh up, but then scoop the tail and scoop the buttocks down on the left side. So there's this kind of dual action. Then walk your torso more upright and reach your arms to the sky. When you're connected with your passions, you really feel like you're living. We want to bring that quality of aliveness out in the poses. Good. Reach down, hands to the front thigh. Lean your torso forward, bring your hands to the mat, and lower your back knee. Step your left knee back to meet your right. Bring your forearms onto the floor. And now step back to plank, to forearm plank, excuse me. Deep breath in forearm plank, draw your tail down towards the floor, your belly up. And then again, if you want to add challenge, dip your right hip a little bit without changing your shoulders. Bring it to the center. Dip your left hip a little bit without changing the shoulders. And bring it to the center. Lower both knees. Bring your belly, chest, and heart down. Bring your hands in line with the middle of your chest and pushing your feet down. Drag your shoulders forward. Curl up into cobra pose. You lift the heart, the legs solid. Now try this. Scoop your tail in cobra and lift up your low belly and see if that doesn't support your lower back a little more. Exhale to lower down. Put your hands under your shoulders and go back to downward facing dog. Bend your knees in down dog. Send the buttocks back and up. Make your arms strong and strong. And then hook your tail under and lift your low belly. Slowly stretch your legs straighter if they'll go. Look forward between your hands. Step your right foot all the way forward to the top of the mat. You can use your hands for help if you need to. Either put your back knee down for more support or bring your hands up onto your right thigh. Take a breath. Now, back thigh lifts. Keep the back thigh as high as you can. Scoop your tail down and lower the right buttock. Then take both arms up into crescent. One of the things that can happen in our bodies when we don't use them is that our vitality and our sort of innate joy gets stuck, gets trapped.
in the tissues. And so when we awaken, when we approach with passion and bring our aliveness into the poses, we free up that stuck vitality and joy. Bring your hands to your front thigh, lean forward, hands to the floor, step off the back foot, standing forward, bend again, Uttanasana. Inhale and stretch your heart halfway forward. Exhale, fold over. Take your arms wide and come up to standing again. Draw your tail down, your belly up. Exhale, bring your hands together in front of your heart. And release the arms by your sides. Excellent. Okay, so let's take a medium wide stance. You can have your blocks in front of you. We did this last week. I call it horse stance. I think that's what it's called. So you're gonna, let me put my blocks out of the way so you can see. Stand with your feet about shoulder width, maybe even a little bit wider than shoulder width. Yeah. And then make sure that your toes really are pointing straight ahead. Second toe lines are parallel and pointing straight out towards the long edge of your mat. Take a deep breath, bring your hands to your hips. Now bend your knees, and as you do, imagine you were going to sit on a horse. So instead of allowing the knees to come together, widen them out. Yes. Then bring some weight back towards your heels. Yes. Now you're going to tip forward a bit and bring your forearms onto your thighs if that's available. If that's not, you just use your hands on your thighs. Excellent. With your shins staying steady, take your thighs back, take your weight back, but then slightly draw your tailbone down. So there's a little like, and you'll feel your belly tone. And that's what we want, the tone in the belly. Keep your belly toned and stretch your spine out long. Yes, good. Horse stance. Keep toning the belly, stretch the spine out long. Lift your heart a little bit if you can. Good, now push down into the legs, take your arms up overhead and stretch all the way up to standing. Then bring your palms to your heart. You take that idea a little bit wider now, so you can bring your hands to your hips, step your feet out wider to your wide-legged forward fold position. We'll start with this same kind of horse stance idea. So again, notice that the knees are not going to knock in. Bend your knees. Imagine you're out like a huge horse now, and there's not as much room for the knees not to knock in, but do your best. Send them out wide. Yep. Sit back, so send your buns back some. Your torso can lean slightly forward, and then bring your hands onto your thighs and lean forward. There you go. If it's possible, you can bring your forearms onto your thighs and bring your torso parallel to the floor. Excellent. So inner leg getting some stretch here. Good. Now, hook your tail down and lift up in your low belly. One of the things that can help is to go like a little cough, and you'll feel the really low belly muscles engage when you do that. That's what we want working. There's the fire. Now, bring your hands onto the floor or the blocks. Keep your legs as they are. Reach your heart forward, and then slowly, slowly straighten the legs and let your torso come down. Yes, so the inner thighs, roll your inner thighs back and wide, but then scoop your tail down. Imagine your buttocks flesh are scooping towards your heels. If you tend to be really tight in your lower back, your hips, your back of your leg, you're not going to need as much scoop. If you tend to be more open or you get some back pain, then scoop more. So we're always tempering the fire for what you need, for the passion, for the body that you have, honestly. Good work. Come up onto fingertips. Roll your inner thighs back. Scoop your buttocks flesh down and extend your spine out parallel if you can, or close to parallel. Now, engage the leg muscles. Bring your hands to your hips And then tail down, belly up, slowly rise back up to standing. And hopefully that didn't cause any pain in the lower back. Slowly bring your feet back together. You can bend your knees to do that, heel toe, your legs back in. Excellent. Okay, so step to the top of the mat. You don't need your blocks for this one. Virabhadrasana 1. Bring your hands to your hips once again. Step your left leg back. And I'm going, 3.5 feet. I'm even going to end up a little longer. And your left foot can be a little bit out towards the left. Okay. Right toes stay pointing straight ahead. Left toes turned in about 45 or even 60 degrees. With your hands on your hips, squeeze your leg muscles. And then do your best to turn your hips to face the front. They're not going to get all the way there, but that's the idea. They're trying to face the short edge of the mat. Take a deep breath in now, and then bend your front knee. This is warrior 1 pose. Yes. And you can feel how there's a lot going on in this back leg. It's really hard to get the back hip to come around, but do your best. Widen your back hip, bring it around, and then scoop your tail down and lift up in your low belly. So there's this engagement in the low part of the core of your body. Then take both arms up. From deep inside your pelvis, root down into the earth. Press downwards. But from deep inside, from this fiery heat in the low belly, rise up like a flame. Up through the body, up through the arms, all the way up to the fingertips. Reaching upward like a victorious, peaceful warrior. Good. Slide your hands back to your hips, straighten your front leg, and step your left foot forward. And you can take a couple of steps to do that. Let's switch sides. Keep your left foot where it is, step your right foot back. You can go 3, 3.5, 4 feet if you're really tall. Your right foot steps a little bit out to the right. Turn your right toes more forward. And then bringing your hands to your hips, take a breath. Breathe in to open to something bigger. Charge up from the feet to the core of the pelvis, and then take your right hip more to the right and forward. Take your left hip back. You turn your hips again towards the short edge of the mat. Keeping that, straighten the back leg, bend the front knee. What usually happens is that the pelvis will kind of tip to help to make that happen. So now tail down, belly up. You may feel this left glute engage. When you're ready, sweep your arms to the sky, come into warrior 1, Virabhadrasana 1. Receive a breath through your whole body and bring a kind of passion into the pose. Even if it's, yoga isn't necessarily a passion for you every day, just connect with it. When we can bring more passion into whatever we're doing, more energy, more emotion, more aliveness, that translates into a more alive experience, right? A feeling of fully living while we're here, not missing out. Bring your hands now back to your hips, straighten your front leg, and step your back foot forward, standing to the top of the mat. Good. If you have a blanket, grab your blanket. If you don't have a blanket, you can do the same thing just by rolling the back of your mat. And if you do have a blanket, and if it has any sort of density to it, we're going to take it and roll it. And you don't, so you're going to make kind of a tight roll. You got like a little burrito here, Cinco de Mayo style. Okay, so you're going to take your tight roll, place it a little bit back from the very top of your mat. And if you have tighter legs, bring your blocks and place them just ahead of the blanket. If you don't need to worry about it. Okay, great. Now take your balls of your feet onto the blanket. Your heels are off. If you find out that, oh, this blanket is too rolled for me to have my balls of the feet, just unroll it a little bit. It's totally fine. Step your feet out, sorry, just a little bit wider than your hips this time. And again, bend, actually, I don't think I can bend my knees. Take a deep breath with the legs strong and exhale, fold over. So your hands may be landing on the blocks. They may be landed on a lower portion of the block, or they may be landing on the floor. If you need to, bend your knees. But the idea here, by elevating the balls of the feet, we get into the calf muscle more than the hamstring muscle in the forward bend. And that's what we're going for, just like I said in the beginning, getting into the calf. So from the feet, pull up. Continue to widen at the tops of your thighs. And a little cough. You'll feel the belly tone. Keep the tone. Slide your buttocks flesh back down. So you actually press down into the balls of your feet. And notice how that may allow your spine to actually cascade over more. Keep pressing into the balls of the feet to free up the back of the lower leg. Notice if your kneecaps are turning towards each other, point them straight towards the front. We open up the body so that life force can flow, so that Shakti, consciousness, can flow, can move. Good. Then come back up to an extended spine, long spine, hands to hips. Scoop your buttocks down, lift your low belly, slowly come back up to standing and come up off your blanket. Take your blanket off the mat, out of the way. We'll use it maybe at the end. Okay, so a little more fire in our poses. Coming to chair pose, Utkatasana. So bring your hands, let's do it, bring your hands to your hips. Let's start there. And feet are parallel, but just a little bit wider than inner hip distance. So we've just opened the calves, so hopefully that'll give us a little bit more range here. Take a deep breath in, and now bend the knees. And when you bend your knees, you may notice that sometimes you can do that without your pelvis really getting involved. So this is just bending my knees, no pelvis. Or you can do it where there's a hinge at the ankle, a hinge at the knee, and a hinge at the hip. And what we want is the hinge at the hip as well. So trying that, bend your knees, hinge at the hip. Now, little scoop of the tail down, lift your low belly. That little cough, good. See if you can sit back towards your heels more. There you go, sitting down a little bit lower, and then slowly stretch the legs. So we're gonna do this dynamically a couple times, that sense of fire. So again, bend the knees, crease at the hips, send the buttocks back. Good, tail down, belly in. Lift the heart, and then stretch back up. 2 more times like this. Bend the knees, hinge at the hips, send the hips back. That's it, knees wide. And stretch back up. Go 1 more time just like this. Bending the knees, hips go back, send your weight back. Lift the heart, and then it's like little cough in the belly to keep the low belly engaged. And then stretch back up. Take a breath. This time we'll stay just a moment longer. So bring your hands out in front of you, hands in prayer position, and usually they rest on the sternum. Take them out a little further for a counterbalance. Take a deep breath in, and then sit back, bend the knees, chair pose. So the knees bend, hips go back, scoop the tail just a little bit so the low back isn't overarched, and then little cough, belly's engaged, lift your heart. As you push down through the legs, lengthen your spine. And if you'd like to add more challenge, take the arms up. If that feels like too much, don't bother. Sit back, lift up. Inhale, stretch both legs. And exhale, bring your arms back down by your sides. Excellent. Utkatasana, chair pose. Now, you're going to need a wall or a door jamb or something like that. Just adding a little bit to that. You're going to turn and face your wall. You don't need to bring your mat, just for standing balance. Be about arm's length away. So just my fingertips are hitting my wall. Take your left foot up off the mat, cross your left outer ankle across your right knee. So it's like you're making a number 4. Yeah. Chair pose in the right leg now. So slowly bend the right knee, hinge at the hips, sit back. So my butt can't stay under me, the butt's got to go back. And the hands can walk down a little bit. Turn both hips towards the wall. Turn both shoulders towards the wall. And again, little scoop of the tail, little cough in the low belly to keep the low belly toned. You can stay right here, or igniting more fire, bring the palms together in front of your heart. See if you can balance. Slowly bring your hands back to the wall, stretch your front leg, and set your left leg back down. Stretch your right leg, set your left down. Good. Let's do the other one of those. Stand onto your left leg. Pull up from the left leg into the core. And remember, we're not letting the hips shift off to the left. Hug it in. Take your right foot off the mat. Cross your outer right ankle over your left knee. You're making like a number 4. And then slowly bend your left knee and sit back. One thing to do is make sure you flex your right foot. Yeah. You can walk your hands down the wall a little if you need. Both hips towards the wall, both shoulders towards the wall. Cough in the low belly, low belly engaged. And then either stay there or bring your palms together in front of your heart. Balancing eye of the needle pose. And it takes a bit of fire to say, I'm going to stick with it. Even though there's a lot of intense sensation and a challenge to balance, bring the fire. Good, hands back to the wall. Stretch your left leg and set your right foot back down. Awesome. All right, come on back over into the center and come down to lay down on your back on your mat. Just want to make sure you guys can see my mat. First, be like a little log just got dropped in the fire and just let yourself go, ah. Feel the floor, the earth beneath you. So we're doing this instead of a child's pose. Just take a moment. Breathe. And then very gently bend your knees and bring them up. Sorry, not up, but feet on the mat with your knees pointing towards the sky. Keep the low back curve. Little scoop of your tail, little engagement in the front of the low belly. Now take your hands behind your head as if you were going to do like classical sit-ups. It's not exactly what we're going to do, but something sort of similar. So continuing to invite the belly, the powerhouse, the firehouse of the body to turn on. So now, engaging that little space in the low belly, bring your right foot up so it's parallel to the floor. Knee can stay bent. Good. Add the left leg. So right leg's up, left leg's up. Now lift head and shoulders up. Pause. Lower head and shoulders back down. Lower your left leg back down. Lower your right leg back down. Take your left leg up. Take your right leg up. Engage your low belly. Lift head and shoulders up. See if you can keep your elbows wide. Pause. Deep breath in. And exhale. Head and shoulders back down. Left foot down. Right foot down. So we're going to change it up and make it a little bit more challenging by doing the head and shoulders first now. You can do it the old way if you need to. Otherwise, go with me. Lift head and shoulders up. Elbows wide. Maybe just stay here. Or right leg up. Left leg up and pause, engage the low belly. Right leg down, left leg down, head and shoulders back down. Head and shoulders up, left leg up, right leg up, pause. Left leg down, right leg down, head and shoulders back down. Pause and breathe. One more set to each side. Inhale, head and shoulders up, elbows are wide. Take your right leg up, take your left leg up, pause. Take your right leg down, take your left leg down, head and shoulders back down. One more time. Inhale, head and shoulders up, elbows are wide, left leg up, right leg up, pause, 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 pause. Left leg down, right leg down, head and shoulders back down, and then just rest a moment. You can stretch the legs out. You can reach the arms overhead. That feels good. Breathe. And then bend both knees. Roll yourself to one side and come up to sit facing the short edge of your mat, so facing the front. Bring the legs out ahead of you. Coming to boat pose, Navasana. Last little bit to engage the fire in the core of the body. So with your feet out ahead of you, take your hands behind, if you can. Yep. And then you'll notice a lot of times the low back will get flat and sort of round back. So instead, move the low back in and up. Yeah. Then that little cough to get the low belly to go, like, oh yeah, okay. So then lifting up, slightly tip back. You can take your hands behind your thighs for starters. And then maybe bring both legs up. Yeah. Engage that low belly, that little, it's working hard to stay there. Good. Now you can either stay here or free your hands up and you'll feel how, oh man, now the belly really has to get involved. And it's like, okay, let's light up the fire in the middle of the belly so that the body can feel energized, enlivened, and supported. The core is a great sense of support for the whole body for whatever else you want to do with your life. Good. Hands back to your legs. Bring your legs back down. Take a seat and stretch in the way that feels good to you. I always like to just extend myself after doing all of that. All right. Now come to seated. Get a blanket if you need it. Which is, yeah, sit up on your blanket, your block, your support. Let's unwind the abdominal muscles now by doing twist. Bring your right shin in front of your left. Bring your left shin behind the right. Move your low back in and up and sit up tall. Inhale your left arm up. Take your left hand to your right knee. Take your right hand behind and twist. And you'll feel the abdominal muscles that we just turned on are now getting a little ringing or sort of wrapping around, lengthening in some ways. Widen your elbows a little. And expand the front of your chest. Even as you turn your head and look all the way over your right shoulder. Inhale, unwrap, and come back around to the front. Switch the cross of your legs. So right shin behind, left shin in front. Inhale, right arm up. Exhale your right hand to your left knee. Your left hand behind, sit up tall, and then twist. Even here, you can engage those lowest abdominals, those little cough muscles. And that will help keep your spine stable as you twist. Let your breath start to turn you more towards the inside, the inner experience. Fire has a way of pulling us up and out of ourselves, which is useful, especially when we've felt sluggish. but it can also burn away what's not helping us anymore and reveal what's on the inside more clearly. Inhale and come back around to the front. And that's a really useful aspect of the fire. Let's take the legs straight out. And you may want your strap. So I'm going to go ahead and strap my feet before I stretch my legs out. You did the work in the calves. This is for your hamstrings now. So pressing the thigh bones down, lift up through your spine. Bring your low back in and up, but then engage the low belly. Inhale, lift up tall. Exhale, bow a little bit forward and take the elbows out to the sides. There you go. If you have more range, then you can certainly bow further forward, maybe even bring your head to touch your legs. But if not, if your hamstrings are tight, don't worry about it. It's really about the passion that you bring to it, the aliveness, the engagement with it, rather than just the kind of like, well, I'm doing it, I guess. Yeah, everybody broaden your collarbones if you can. Yeah, good. Take another breath, push the legs down and make your spine longer on the wherever you're extended towards. See if you can extend longer in that direction. Yeah, really good. Then inhale and slowly come on back up. Release your legs from your strap. Come down onto your back now. So you gotta let the heat from the fire kind of diminish a little bit before we go to Shavasana, so you're not burned alive. Take your feet out about as wide as your mat with your knees bent again. Take your arms into a cactus or out to the sides if you have the space. Now slowly open your right knee to the right and come onto the outer edge of your right foot. And then bring your left knee over, come on the inner edge of your left foot. So my hope is that your left knee is starting to aim towards your right foot. Your right knee's on the floor. But the knees are not stacked so much this time. This is more like they're kind of staggered. So the left foot is still over by the left side of the mat. From your pelvis, lengthen your left knee away from you, away from the rest of your body. And if you're feeling really open, you may put your right foot on your left knee. But if that strains your back or your hip or your knee, then don't do it. It's a way to release in the front of the body where we've been working today. Good. Bring your right foot back down. Inhale, both legs back up into the center. So again, make sure that your feet are as wide as your mat. Mine are even hanging off the sides of my mat a little bit. Then take both knees to the left. Your left knee ends up off the mat to the left. Your right knee ends up near your left foot-ish. Let your belly hollow out. So it's not pushing away. It's just sort of softens and hollows. Keep your leg muscles toned. Thighs back, scoop the buttocks a little, and maybe add your left leg on top of your right. If that's too much strain on the back or the knee or the hip, just keep your left foot down. Take another breath and soften your right shoulder towards the mat. And then release your left foot back down to the floor. Take both legs back up into the center. Gently now hug the knees in towards your chest. You can hold the front of the knee or the back of the thigh for a moment, but then join the soles of your feet and allow your knees to open to the sides. Take your hands to your inner shins or inner ankles if you can. And if this is not possible, it's totally fine to just hold your knees or your outer legs instead of your ankles. Push your feet in towards each other. Press your knees out wide and give a little bit of a scoop to your tailbone, a little engagement of your belly so that your belly helps with the extending of the knees out. Good. Slowly bring the legs back in, knees back in towards each other. And now you can hold your knees, take little tiny circles of your hips in one direction. So releasing any excess tension around the lower back. And then a couple of circles in the other direction. Let the knees soften, let the thighs soften. Slowly now bring the legs in, either into a ball or into a happy baby. And let this be whatever you would like it to be. So what feels good to you? Like instead of being a burning flame now, it's just like an ember. Tiny bit of the heat left. And as that feels complete, slowly release both legs out onto the mat. And come out to Shavasana. We have a good little amount of time here. You can set yourself up and lay down for Shavasana. I'll come and chat with you. Take a full breath in and all the way out. And let your body now soften and give in to the mat. Fire has a quality of transformation. It transforms your state, burning away what is not helpful or gone dull, and leaving what is radiant, what is most precious. So as you allow the body now to soften even more, feel the ease of your breath. And become guided into your heart space, the space of peace, a space of deep rest, a deep space of being centered in who you are. Allow yourself to rest here for the next several minutes. Gently begin to return. So you bring your attention back into this moment, in this place, but feel the difference in your body. Start to move your fingers, your toes. Stretch out in the way that feels right to you. Then bending your knees, come over onto your right side. Press down into your hands and come back up to seated and face towards the front. Close your eyes. So yeah, you can come back up to your comfortable seat. With your eyes closed, again, tune back in to the internal experience that you're having. And notice if there isn't a little more vitality. When we bring more fire, more passion into the body, there's a sense of waking up. And so we allow the yoga practice to wake us up to our own selves, to our own lives, so that we can live with a sense of purpose, passion. Again, vitality and awakeness to this unique and profound experience that we're having of living. Now you can bring your palms up in front of your heart. Take a moment to honor your own efforts, the efforts that bring you here every week. There's some fire in that. And we'll chant a single Om to close together. Welcome your in-breath. Om. Namaste. All righty. Thank you all.